Alright guys, so I have a lot of questions about calculating simple interest, so I just wanted to go over what it was. So we know that the word interest, it just basically means the amount of money that you have to pay for borrowing a certain amount of money. So you're not only paying back the money that you borrowed, you're also paying back an additional fee. Okay, that's basically what interest means. But if you're investing money, then it's the amount that's paid to you. Okay, so that's what interest means. And when we try to figure out interest, we need to know the interest rate and a couple of other things. So if we're looking at borrowing money, like Brian is borrowing $20,000 from the bank at a rate of 10% a year. If it'll take him 3 years to pay off the loan, how much money in interest will he have to pay? Well, I need to know that, what I need to find out is the interest, right? The amount of money that he's going to be paying in addition to the amount of money that he's paying back to the bank. So I don't know what the interest is, and I'm going to represent that with the letter I. And then I need to also know his principal amount. Principal is just the amount of money that he's borrowing. So his principal amount, and I represent that with a P, the amount that he's borrowing is $20,000. And then I also need to know the interest rate. Okay, the interest rate tells me how much I have to pay in interest, because the interest rate is basically calculated by multiplying it with the principal. And I'll explain that a little bit more later. So interest rate, we know, is 10%. And I represent that with an R. That's 10%. And then time is really important, because how long it takes for someone to pay off their loan affects how much money they're going to be paying in interest. So if it's taking him 3 years to pay off his loan, I'm going to write time as 3, and we represent that with the letter T. And then the formula basically to find interest is I equals the principal, the amount of money that you originally borrowed, times the rate, the interest rate, times time, the amount of years or months or however long it takes for you to pay off this loan. So I already know my principal amount, right? So I just do 20,000 times the rate. I can't write 10 because 10 is 10%. I have to convert that into a decimal. So I know that 10% is 10 over 100. So as a decimal, that's 0.10. And then times 3. So if I were to multiply 20,000 times 0.10, I know that's 2,000. And then I multiply that by 3, and that leaves me with 6,000. So he pays $6,000 in interest in 3 years. So in addition to paying back the amount of money that he borrowed, he has to pay the bank an additional $6,000 in interest. So I know that my interest is $6,000 now. And it's the same idea with investing money or saving money. Okay, so for example, if Brian put $500 into his savings account and it pays him 2% interest each year, how much money will he have earned after 5 years? Same idea. I'm trying to figure out how much he's earning in interest each year or after 5 years. Right, and I represent that with the letter I. I need to know his principal amount. Principal amount is the original amount, so the amount that he put in. Principal amount is $500 because that's how much he's putting into his savings account. Right? And then the interest rate, which is represented with this R, is 2%. So it's going to pay him 2% of the $500 every year. So, and for time, we know that he's putting it in his money into this account for 5 years. And we're trying to figure out how much is he going to earn after 5 years. So again, I write out my formula, which is the interest is principal times rate times time. And then I just kind of fill it in. I know that the principal is 500. I know that the rate is 2%, 2 over 100. If I'm going to write that as a decimal, it's going to be 2/100ths. And the time is 5. Right? This might be a little bit harder for me to figure out. So I might actually have to do some math on the side, right? I have to do 500 times 0.02, which gives me 0.0010. And then I move my decimal place over 2 places to the right. That's 10. So I know that's 10 times 5. So now I know that my interest is 50. So Brian earns $50 after 5 years, which isn't very much money, huh? So yeah, that's basically how to calculate the interest, the amount of money you earn or the amount of money that you have to pay back. I will upload a couple more things for you onto your Google Classroom so that you can practice this a little bit more later. Okay.